Smash Mouth Sports, we are live to the millions and millions of fans and Twitter and YouTube and all over the world, around the globe. So we are live. Tweet it out. We're going to cover the NFC playoffs. Right now, we're going to cover the NFC. So the first game, if my numbers are correct here, the number one seeds, the Green Bay Packers, 13-3. They have a bye week.
Yep.
So that brings us to the number 2 seed, which is the New Orleans Saints at 12-4 versus the, I don't want to say pitiful, 7-7 or 8-8 number of 7th-ranked Chicago Bears, but it's pitiful that we have 7 teams. I don't like that, but it is what it is because of COVID. That's why they did it. The game's at 4:40 on Saturday. Looks to be the first game. So that's on. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
It's the second game. Yeah, Bills Colts is the first. Correct.
I don't know what ESPN. This is why you don't trust ESPN. They did this backwards, but it's 4:40 Sunday, January 10th. The opening line was the Saints by 8.5. That's going to go up and down up until the time frame. The next game is the number 3 Seattle Seahawks, 12-4, had a fantastic season, versus the number 6 LA Rams at 10-6. That's also at 4:40. That game actually is on Saturday on Fox. The Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites. And last but not least, the Washington football team, 7-9, against the number 5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 11-5. My Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The line originally was 7.5. It's now going up to over 8, and that appears to be going up to potentially 8, 8.5, maybe 9, maybe even 10 points before that goes. So here are my quick takes. Game number 1, I'm taking the Saints over the Bears.
100%.
Definitely think the Saints will cover.
Not a contest.
The Seahawks against the Rams, I expect the Seahawks to win that game. I expect them to also cover. And Washington against Tampa Bay, I know a lot of you are like 8, 9 points. That's a higher spread. I also expect Tampa Bay to cover because I think worst case scenario, if Tampa Bay struggles, it's going to be a 27-17 game. I just don't see Washington scoring many points.
Not against that front 7.
Right. And with JPP and Shaq Barrett and everybody back.
Barrett's off of COVID, correct.
Right. He's off COVID. That's breaking news. I just don't see that going for them. So, by the way, we posted this on YouTube. I think that was another thing. The first show we did YouTube and Facebook. This one we just did YouTube. So I think that's going to help us out and so forth. So once more and more people matriculate in, we can see more and more live viewers. But yeah, so I look forward to that. And plus, when we get some of the other folks on, we can have them live tweeted out while we're doing it as well. So we can tweet, you can tweet, they can tweet, the whole group can tweet. So I think that's fantastic. So what are your thoughts on that as far as the NFC goes?
Bears Saints is not worth watching. Won't be a contest. The Saints will win that game by 20+ points.
Boy, it's a good thing you don't work for the TV station. My God, they'd fire you right away. I don't watch the game. The Saints of millions in ad revenue. Nah. Saints are going to kill them. Look, I'm gonna disagree with you because I do expect the Saints to win. The Saints should win 30-20, but the Bears do have a legit defense. Drew Brees is banged up. Kamara's been banged up. Michael Thomas, I believe, is out for the season. They will not have Kamara.
No, Kamara has COVID.
Oh, he does have. But is he 100% out?
Yes.
Again, Michael Thomas is out. Alvin Kamara's out. 2 of their best players are out, and Drew Brees is still banged up. I know he played great last week, and I know the last game, Alvin Kamara had the game of his life.
You don't just bounce back from 11 broken ribs.
Right. So I'm telling you, I know you don't feel this way. I'm telling you, it would not surprise me. I'm not saying bet money on the Bears. That's not what I'm telling you. So if you bet money on the Bears and the Bears lose 30-17,
that's up to you.
That's up to you. But I'm just simply saying, if you want to look for potential, the Bears are 8.5-point favorites. Excuse me, the Saints are 8.5-point favorites over the Bears. So the point that I'm saying is the Bears could sneak in. Mitchell Trubisky is a sneaky guy. We'll see if that Bears defense shows up. I'm just saying, I've seen crazier things have happened. The Saints, this is not where the Saints shine. This is the time of the year where the Saints are scoring 56 points to 10 in the regular season. Come playoff time, they lose to the Vikings, they lose to the Rams. This is the part of the season where the old Saints team starts to wear down, and their refusal to run the ball also makes it harder on on Drew Brees. Yeah.
The Saints might be bigger underachievers than the Packers in terms of this generation. Because the Saints have had loaded teams. The Packers have just been Aaron Rodgers. The Saints have had absolutely loaded teams, and they still only have one. And everyone, I think we all agree, this feels like Drew Brees' last hurrah, correct?
This is definitely his last hurrah. I've heard from many sources that he expects to retire.
He's got an NBC job.
He's got broken ribs. He's
been hurt 2 years in a row, right?
Could he come back to the Saints next year for one more year? They gave him $20-25 million. Sure, but why? You've got $300 million in the bank. Why?
You've got hurt 2 years in a row, right?
You're 42. Let me just say this. It's not going to be a long show. Stop comparing Breeze, Big Ben, Andrew Luck, or whoever to Tom Brady. Tom Brady is in a league of his own. There's a reason why in the preseason I said there's GOAT status,
and then there's
Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and everybody else. So make no mistake about it. Patrick Mahomes has one. Aaron Rodgers has one. Tom Brady has 6 for a reason because
going for his 7th.
He's won 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years, correct?
Correct. And 3 in the last 6.
And 3 in the last 6. Most people don't win 3 Super Bowls in 6 years after 37. That just doesn't happen.
Most people don't win 3 Super Bowls in a 20-year career.
That's true. Most people don't win 3 in a 20-year career. You're correct. In fact, in the modern day era, and by modern day, I mean, 1980, the last 40 years, there's been 2 guys. There's been Joe Montana won 4 and Tom Brady won 6. Correct?
Correct.
Because you got Terry Bradshaw that won 4 many years ago in the 70s, and Troy Aikman won 3. But we're talking about the last 40 years, Joe Montana with a high-powered offense and Tom Brady. Because no disrespect to Terry Bradshaw, he did win 4. I got to tip my hat to him. That was an all-defensive team. That was an all-defensive team. And if you look at his numbers, they're absolutely a dumpster fire.
Average.
The average is being generous. I mean, for the day, they were good for the day.
For his era, they were average, correct.
I mean, I got into a big argument with some guys. One of the big rooms I'm in, fantasy football, NFL rooms. This guy was going on and on and on about how Brett Favre is better than Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, dude, I get it. You don't like Aaron Rodgers. Cam doesn't like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers just threw near 5,000 yards, 48 touchdowns, close to 70% accuracy, and only 5 interceptions. 48-5.
Now, he deserves a ton of credit. Aaron Rodgers was phenomenal this year. He was absolutely, positively phenomenal. And I give him a lot of credit because we all know Aaron Rodgers can be a little pouty, correct? That's the one knock on him, is that sometimes he has a bad attitude.
Yeah, it's almost like a guy that's got $300 million, but he's forced to live in Green Bay. Okay,
well,
I mean, it's like
he contract.
It's like he's living in hell, but he has the nicest house. I mean,
he signed the contract,
right? Yeah, I'll give you $100 million, but you got to go live in Alaska. I mean, and you got to build your own house. You got to get your own food. You got to go hunting with your snow dogs. I mean, the people that live in Alaska, I tip my hat to them. It's not an easy life. I mean, that's a rough life.
And but I have to give him credit for one thing especially. When they drafted Jordan Love in the first round back in April.
The guy that you liked.
This could go either way. This could either really motivate Aaron Rodgers, really piss him off, really get him fired up, or it could really piss him off and have it go the other way. He doesn't get fired up. He just throws a fit. It motivated him. He came out guns blazing this year. It was phenomenal.
Well, you say it motivated him. Look,
it gave him a kick in the ass. They were ready to replace him.
I know you believe in this deep state kick in the ass.
Do you believe Tom Brady got a kick in the ass when they drafted Jimmy Garoppolo?
I do believe Tom Brady got a kick in the ass, but the difference is, Tom Brady still would have played great regardless. Aaron Rodgers still would have played great regardless.
Yes, I'm not disputing. They're both. I'm saying it was an extra Rodgers didn't realize ooh, they're getting ready to replace me. I better batten down the hatches here, man. And he had a great year. Well,
I know you like to say that Aaron Rodgers is elite. Look, guys that are elite, okay, guys that get a fire lit is Andy Dalton. Okay, guys that are Kirk Cousins. Those guys get fires lit. Okay. Carson Wentz should have had a fire lit because they drafted a guy in the second round, right?
Good. He should have had a fire lit with Jalen Hurts.
This was Carson Wentz's worst year of his career. The worst year by far.
He was better his rookie year.
Right. He led the league in interceptions.
Despite the fact he missed 4 games.
And he missed the last 4 games. And he led the league in interceptions. And he led the league.
That's a Jameis Winston stat, correct.
That's a Jameis Winston stat. Jameis Winston, I didn't check the numbers today. Probably should have. I believe Jameis Winston, no, not that I believe. He does. Jameis Winston still has the most interceptions the last 2 years.
And he didn't throw a pass this year.
And, he threw a few passes, but he didn't start a game.
Correct, because they played Taysom Hill and Breeze.
He played one half of a game. So he played one half of a game, and he did a couple kneel downs. But, yeah, he did not have any significant playing time. I think he threw maybe 15, 20 passes, something along those lines. But, yeah, so absolutely crazy. The NFL playoffs, so those are the playoffs. We don't have enough time to get to the NFC, the whole thing, but I do want to get into – well, we can go in quickly. The Bills, I do expect the Bills to cover the Colts. I know you don't feel that way, but I do think the Bills are the team to beat in the AFC. I think they're clicking at the right times. I really do. Cowherd said this a few weeks ago. I thought he was crazy. He was right. He was right about the Bills. He was 100% right. They are hitting on all cylinders. They look strong. Pittsburgh, I expect Pittsburgh to beat Cleveland.
They're the opposite. They're falling apart.
Pittsburgh is falling apart. The Browns are falling apart. Both of those teams. Look, I'm not impressed with either team. One of these teams has to win this game. I'm not impressed with either team.
The Browns don't have their head coach, so.
Okay, well, the Browns don't have their head coach. If the Browns win, that would not surprise me because it's got nothing to do with the head coach, okay? If I was a head coach of this Cleveland Browns team, I would beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? It's not because the Pittsburgh Steelers are soft. It's because the Cleveland Browns have a great offensive line. They have 2 great running backs. Figure out how to run the ball 30
Let me guess. Unless it's 3rd and 5 or longer, Baker, you're not throwing a pass?
No, I'm throwing a pass to keep them honest, but – what was the last game? Can you bring up the stats on the last game at the passes? It was ridiculous. They threw like 41, 42 times, and they ran like 20, 21 times. They barely beat Mason Rudolph. I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns. They barely beat Mason Rudolph. Barely.
Right, and now their coach has COVID.
And their coach has COVID. And the week before, all the receivers had COVID. So what are they doing? Cleveland got lucky. They limped into the playoffs as much as you could limp in. If the Steelers had a young team like the Bills or even a team like the Buccaneers, even though Tom Brady's older, the Buccaneers play their starters. So you can argue that. But yeah, so we'll get into that. But yeah, so those are the teams. And then the last game, Tennessee versus Baltimore. That's a really tough game. It's really hard to see. Baltimore could win that game. They're 4.5-point favorites. I'm really leaning towards Tennessee. I really am leaning towards Tennessee. Lamar Jackson has got to prove to me, come playoff time, that he can win. I would be stunned if he won Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, but I got to see it. I got to see it. Cam, are you bringing it up, or you're struggling there with this new thing they call the internet?
No, I'm not struggling with the internet. No, I mean, I'm with you. Baltimore's playing Tennessee, you said?
Yeah, well, we're trying to bring up the Cleveland Pittsburgh before we get this show off the road here.
It's giving me a hard time. It keeps giving me the first game.
Well, I don't know what's coming up because I'm going to ESPN right now. Clearly, ESPN. I know they've dived into politics, but the number one story is ABC News. On ESPN, it says ABC News coverage of the breach at the U.S. Capitol. So that is the lead story on sports networks that are going on.
Well, there was almost an NBA game not played tonight, but they played it. So that doesn't surprise me.
Okay. Well, while you're bringing that up, you had breaking news about your former GM.
Yeah, Nick Caserio, the former Patriots head of the player personnel, because Bill Belichick has the official GM title, went to Houston, and he's now got a 6-year contract that will make him the 3rd highest paid GM in the league. And I can only imagine the 2 GMs ahead of him are Bill Belichick and Ron Rivera, the 2 coaches that have full GM power.
Right.
So he's being paid as the highest traditional GM in the league.
Okay, I stand corrected. The game that I was thinking about before, so the Browns did win the last game. They did actually run the ball, 31 carries for 119 yards.
Baker Mayfield only threw 27 times.
Yeah, he only threw 27 times. But he was sacked 4 times, which is terrible, and he only threw 196 yards. Now, you won the game. That's all that matters. But let me go back to the previous game. Okay, I'm going to go back to the previous game because that's what I want to focus in on. The point is they won 24-22.
Because there were starters versus starters. I got it.
Against the Steelers versus the backup. So the game before, the game that the Jets beat the Cleveland Browns, which is just terrible. Here is the score. So I knew they threw it well over 41 times. So here are the numbers. You ready? The Cleveland Browns, the game before they lost to the Jets 23-16, Baker threw 53 times. 53, which is terrible. That's way too many passes.
That's the Bruce Arians game plan.
And they ran 18 times for 45. That's the game that I was thinking about. So you have
with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
So you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But what's worse than you have two great backs? What's worse for the Browns? All of your receivers had COVID or were out of the game. All of them.
And you still throw 53 times.
And you still throw 53 times.
Come on, Kevin. Come on.
That is horrible.
That's bad coaching.
Yeah, it's just bad coaching. Coaches are getting dumber. Coaches are getting dumber. They're getting dumber and dumber and dumber.
They are.
Yeah. So, so like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. We wanted to kind of experiment this. We got everything going. Hit me at Smash TV Radio. Make sure you like and subscribe. The last thing I want to cover is the top 5 picks. So the consensus is
Trevor Lawrence 1.
Trevor Lawrence 1. Justin Fields 2. Number 3. There's a projected trade. I don't know. Of course, Pro Football Network's got this. I'll say it.
3 is Atlanta, correct? No, it's Miami with Houston. That's right.
No, it's Miami. And so there's a projected trade with Washington. They're going to trade up for Zach Wilson, the BYU quarterback. So I know you're not a big fan of his.
Well, there was a rumor today, actually, that Washington is interested in Cam Newton.
Oh, you got to be joking.
And they want to give him a big contract, too. They want to give him $25 million a year, they said.
I don't believe that.
That was from Adam Schefter. I'm not making this is not from random guy in his basement with egghead, as you would say. This is from Adam Schefter. The Washington football team is interested in giving Cam Newton a 2-year, $50 million deal.
Okay,
Drew Brees contract.
Okay, so not only is Washington interested in him, which I call BS, they then are wanting to offer him $50 million for 2 years.
Correct. The Drew Brees contract.
That's absurd.
That's getting better.
If you told me Washington is interested in him because of Ron Rivera, because Kyle Allen sucks, Dwayne Haskins sucks, they cut, and Alex Smith has been beat to hell. They want to bring in Cam Newton as a body, as a backup. Okay. On a 1-year deal.
Well, Alex Smith's a free agent.
Okay. Oh, that's even better. Okay, so Alex Smith is a free agent. So you're right. Alex Smith is a free agent. Kyle
last year still counted on his contract, even though he didn't play.
Okay. My point is, name a Washington quarterback, they all suck. I don't care what their names are. They all suck. Okay?
Correct.
The point that I'm getting at, which is what I'm trying to explain to you, they may be interested in Cam Newton. I can buy that they might be interested in with your fake eggheads that you talk to. They might be interested in him. There's not a chance in hell. You want to bet money? You want to bet the farm? There's not a chance in hell they pay him $50 million. I would say at the absolute max.
He gets $4 million.
No, I'll go higher than 4. At the absolute max would be a 1-year, $10 or $12 million deal at the absolute max. Because name another team. Let's say that your sources are true.
No other team is going to pay him.
No other team is going to outbid them.
No one wanted him this year.
Nobody wanted him this year. He got $1.5 million, $2 million this year. Nobody wanted him.
Right.
Nobody wanted him. Right. Nobody wanted him.
He threw 6 touchdowns, 2 in the final game. He's had 4 touchdowns going into the final game.
Yeah. Nobody wanted him. I couldn't even get to the guy that I wanted to talk about, but we're out of time, is Penei Sewell, the big offensive tackle for Oregon, who may end up going to Cincinnati. If he goes to Cincinnati,
that's great.
That will be fantastic for Joe Burrow.
They need to protect Joe Burrow, absolutely.
Now, this is the guy I want to get to. This is where the Philadelphia Eagles are picking 6th overall linebacker Micah Parsons out of Penn State. So Micah Parsons better be the greatest linebacker the world has ever seen for Philly. Because whoever Philly chooses, okay, for that 6th pick, whoever they choose.
He's going to be linked to that game on Sunday.
He is going to be linked. He can't afford to be just a bubble starter. He can't afford to be pretty good. He can't afford to be a one-time Pro Bowl.
Remembered as the Nate Sudfeld game.
Whoever they take is going to be compared to whoever the 9th team takes. If there's trades. So whoever that ends up being, that guy better be great. He better be.
Giants fans are going to hate him.
And Giants fans are going to hate that guy. So, yeah, so like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again. That ends the show for the night. Appreciate it.